the Adventurous way. Today we are starting the Mojave Road and we're right here at the Eastern End in Fort Mojave.
Mojave Road goes through Mojave National Preserve, which will be unit number 18 on our quest to visit them all.
It'll take 3 days and 2 nights to drive the entire length of the Mojave Road. Mojave Road is a 3-day expedition, off-road. We're going to be in the middle of nowhere, and it's not really the kind of thing you want to do without time to prepare. We wanted to make sure we were going to do this safely and properly.
And we can't bring the trailer down there. It's like way too big for that off-roading, so we needed to stay in the RV park so that then we can keep the RV there while we do the off-roading.
Yeah, even we're not quite crazy enough to tow our trailer along the Mojave Road. We've done it before, with the Mojave Road that is. We drove the Mojave Road back in October 2017, I guess, and really good fun. It's a great sort of road through the middle of the Mojave Desert, really interesting to see some of the sights and to really explore the area, but it's not the kind of road you want to be towing a trailer down. It's one that needs 4-wheel drive, it needs high clearance, so we're taking just the truck and we're leaving, as you said, the trailer in storage. Mojave National Preserve is located midway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. It's hemmed in by I-40 to the south and I-15 to the north, with the nearest cities being Baker, California on I-15 to the north, Barstow, California to the west, and Fort Mojave, Arizona to the east. At over 1.5 million acres in size, it's the third largest national park unit in the lower 48 states, beaten only by Death Valley National Park and Yellowstone National Park. Within the unit boundaries, 695,000 acres are designated as a wilderness area, affording extra protections. The Mojave Road, also known as Old Government Road, is a historic route that was used by Indians as a trade route. Later, it was one of the routes used for westward expansion. Military forts were established along the route to protect key water sources. The Mojave Road is no joke. 133 miles of off-road driving through remote and inaccessible wilderness. With no cell signal, if something goes wrong, help is hard to contact and a long way away. Our plan is to traverse the majority of the Mojave Road, starting on the east at Fort Mojave and driving west through the entire Mojave National Preserve. Last time we continued all the way through Afton Canyon with its river crossing, but we don't feel the need to do the deep water crossing in our F-150 again, so this time we'll return back to I-15 shortly after crossing Soda Lake. Check out the blog post, link in the video description, with details on how to prepare for such a trip. We're here now at Fort Piute. When we did the Mojave Road last time, we actually tried to camp here on the first night, and the winds were so bad that after dark we had to take our tent down, throw it in the back of the truck, and just head on down the hill until we could find a bit of shelter from the wind. It was so bad, it was nearly flattening our tent. Today we're going to carry on a little bit further. We're going to head over to the Piute Corral and hopefully find somewhere there to camp. Back in the day though, this would have been a really valuable spot for the military to control. This was one of the few sources of water in the area, and you can tell with all the lush vegetation around us here.
So this is the map of Mojave National Preserve, and we are traveling from east to west. So we started around here, and right now we are about here, and then we'll continue west. We'll stop by Kelso Visitor Center, and then keep going back on the Mojave Road, and we'll exit on the west side.
Our tactic when off-roading is to use as few driver aids as possible until we need them. That means we run in 2-wheel drive all the time, saving 4-wheel drive, 4-low and the rear diff locker for when they're really needed. Not only does that help us to sense how hard the truck is working, but we know we've always got a few extras to help out should we get stuck. The only exception to this is when we face a tough obstacle. Then we'll set the truck up as best we can to avoid getting stuck in the first place. I guess that's the storm damage. I love these tyres. That is insane. We've just climbed up the hill there from the road at the bottom up to the highest point here in the Piute range. It's about 3,400 feet. The truck's doing great. We're still in 2-wheel drive mode, believe it or not. We've had some really steep rocky things, but those tyres are rocking it. literally, and they are gripping super well, and it's going really well so far. So from now, the going gets a little bit easier for here, and hopefully it's pretty easy driving now to the corral. We have arrived. We are here at the Piute Corral, which is going to be our camping spot for the night. Not a lot of shelter around here, so I think we're just going to use what we can of the corral to shelter us, and then just the truck as a bit of a windbreak, because it's super exposed here and it's pretty windy.
What's for dinner tonight?
Today we have a deconstructed chicken salad with cucumbers, tomatoes and chicken. That is good. On day 2, we are rising early, packing up our tent and putting some miles under our belts before breakfast. The rocky trails of the lower elevation, around 2,200 feet from the day before, are gone, and the higher elevation, climbing up through 4,000 feet, now brings sandy washes, and some of the roughest sections of the Mojave Road, and Joshua trees. There used to be an old school bus around mile marker 37, but this was removed shortly after our last trip in October 2017. Just after mile marker 41 is the famous penny can. A rite of passage for all travellers is to drop a penny into the can, so we paid our dues. So we've stopped here at the Mojave Desert Outpost, and we've just had some nice breakfast here. We just did it on the tailgate of the truck. Some nice oatmeal and a nice hot cup of tea, so that was lovely. Lots more driving to do today, but the scenery here is stunning. We're standing in the middle of a Joshua tree forest right now, clear blue skies, and really enjoying this. The Joshua tree is a tree-like member of the yucca genus, which is found almost exclusively in the Mojave Desert. While Joshua Tree National Park may be the more famous, the world's largest and densest Joshua tree forest is actually found in Mojave National Preserve, covering Cima Dome and Shadow Valley. Just before mile marker 50, we reached Watson Wash. This was the one section I'd been nervous about. It's a steep, very heavily rutted hill, and the conditions can change drastically following rainstorms. I think I'm going to do 4-wheel load for this, just to play it safe. Good. We did it before, but we were with a friend and his Jeep, with a winch for backup if we needed it. Our backup plan this time was a bypass around the obstacle, but I was keen to try it if it looked doable.
Okay. Yeah, slowly. Oh, wait. Okay, so your rear diff is very, very low. Actually. Oh, it's okay. Okay, you are on the ground. Your left wheel is not on the ground. Or your wheel is not on the ground. Turn, probably. Yep.
Turn which way?
Right, probably. I don't know how much space you have left.
Driver or passenger?
Good. Keep going straight. your passenger side wheel is sliding. Okay, let's see. Maybe try turning slightly towards passenger so that you don't go right in the lower slip. Yeah. Yeah, and then turn slightly towards driver.
This obstacle was one of the reasons we chose to drive east to west. I don't think we'd have made it up this hill in the other direction. Okay, I'm good from here. At around mile marker 53, the road loops up through government holes. The first well here was dug in 1859 by Phineas Banning, after whom Banning, California was named, and was called Banning's Well. It was subsequently enlarged by US soldiers in 1860 and became known as government holes, even though there's no evidence that there was ever more than one well.
So today we had 2 people sign in. So let's sign in for us.
The Mojave Road Mailbox was erected by the Friends of the Mojave Road in 1983 and now has a guest book for travellers to sign into. As if a remote mailbox wasn't surreal enough, what's behind the Mojave Mailbox is surely one of the strangest scenes we've ever come across. A small desert trail loops back through the Joshua trees past certain attractions. We're standing here now at the famous Mojave Mailbox. We've just signed our names in, and it's just really weird to be back here after nearly 2 years. We remember very clearly being here before, and a few things have changed back there. It's a pretty quirky place. It was, however, I don't know if you can tell from the skies, it was about to rain, and so we had some lunch, but rather than having it outside, we quickly sort of jumped back into the truck and we had our lunch inside. We're going to head on down now, and we actually descend back down into the wash, so we're just hoping those rains didn't hit down there, and we hope that we're not going to hit too much tough going and loose sand. Wow.
See, not so bad.
That's incredible. The Mojave Road crosses Kelbacker Road, and just a few hundred feet north of this crossing is where we chose to camp for the night. We stopped here last time too, and the rocks offer some protection from the wind.
Now kind of gathering everything up, we'll drive for a few hours and then we'll have breakfast.
So it's day 3 on the Mojave Road, and we're about to undertake one of the kind of most critical sections of the Mojave Road, crossing Soda Lake. Now the entire time we've been following this book, it's absolutely fantastic. It's the Mojave Road Guide, and it contains like mile by mile, in fact it's like 0.1 mile by 0.1 mile steps and directions for the entire crossing. We've also got our GPX track from last time that we've been following as well. But I want to read to you what it says here about Soda Lake. Do not drive on the lake or attempt to cross it by any other route. Do not deviate from this route. Even this route is impossible at times. This can be one of the most critical decision points on the Mojave Road. A crossing should never be attempted with one vehicle travelling alone. Considerable separation should be left between vehicles in case the lead driver gets stuck. The means should be available to extricate the vehicle that does get stuck. Travellers should use four-wheel drive to cross the lake. Even if the surface looks very dry, the extra advantage of having four-wheel drive engaged to get through an unexpected stretch of mud may be critical. We're alone, and we are absolutely going to cross this lake. So just for some context, this is not wet. It's a dried up lake bed for many months of the year, and at times after rain there can be a small amount of water on top. If the conditions were wet or muddy, I absolutely would not be crossing. We also spoke to one of the rangers yesterday who had heard from a couple of vehicles that have been through this area recently, and they all think it's been absolutely fine to cross. They've not had any rain in the area for a little while now, so all things considered, I think we're going to be okay. Still haven't decided whether we use two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. We've been in two-wheel drive the entirety of the time so far, with the exception of just a short period where we used four-wheel low to do the Watson's wash, and that was really just to give me some engine control as we went down there. So I haven't decided yet whether to engage four-wheel drive. I think I'm going to see what it's like out there. I suspect Diana is going to be strongly encouraging me to do so, so maybe I'll give in to that pressure. But either way, Soda Lake is a really fun part of this journey, and we're really looking forward to it. So I think it's time to hit the road.
And we did it last year, that's why also we feel more comfortable doing it again.
We've done this crossing across the lake before. We crossed it a couple of years ago, and back then, again, it was dry and it was good conditions, so I'm not too concerned. We're now standing here at Traveller's Monument, and just as I thought, the passage across the lake was absolutely fine. The main path itself across there is pretty solid, actually pretty firm underfoot, and so Diana didn't notice, and I kept it in two-wheel drive the entire time. That wasn't a problem. I'm holding here two rocks, because one of the traditions here is that any travellers that pass through put a rock onto Traveller's Monument, so I've got one for me and one for Diana. Now there's something else interesting about Traveller's Monument. Up in the middle, there's a little something for travellers that pass through here, but we're not allowed to share that secret, so if you want to know what's in there, you're going to have to come and visit here yourselves. How cool is this? From Soda Lake, the road continues west through the Soda Mountains. This is one of my favourite sections of the entire Mojave Road. The dry washes are very fun to drive. The sand is loose, but not so deep that you're likely to get stuck as long as you're paying attention, and the area is wide and open, so visibility is good. Diana is now driving the truck. We drove about 15 miles west from Soda Lake to the intersection with Basin Road. Further west from here is Afton Canyon. It's a beautiful section of the Mojave Road, but it reaches a point where the only route forward involves a water crossing. It varies in depth, but was over 2 feet deep when we crossed last time. Deep water crossings like that aren't great in the F-150, and doing it on our own seemed a little bit reckless. So instead, we chose to head north for several miles on Basin Road until we reached I-15, the end of our Mojave Road crossing. We picked up our RV and continued to head east until we reached Flagstaff, Arizona for our next national park stop along Route 66, Sunset Crater Volcano National Monument.